Gil Capps is there with the Golf Channel. He joins us now on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Gil, I'll ask you the same. Is the U.S. Open too difficult?
Well, why is it difficult? What's your problem with it?
I don't have a problem with it. I'm asking you if you're out there watching these guys struggle away. You're hearing them come through the clubhouse. Are they saying this is ridiculous?
Oh, somebody did say clown golf.
No. Listen, I think that always happens, right? So last year it was too easy. It was like a tour event. The fairways are too wide and course too soft, and at a place that was brand new, and yada yada. And now we come this year. Now it's the opposite, and you have the same people complaining. It's too tough, and it's they're not able to show their talents, and I want to see birdies, and once again yada yada, and this is what it's supposed to be. This is more what it's supposed to be. This is the U.S. Open. It's not a normal PGA Tour event. What some people in the industry used to call a union event, right? But the PGA Tour is run by the players. This is run by the USGA. So you come here, and it's supposed to test every facet of your game, and it's a major, right? It's not supposed to be, wide open fairways and soft greens, and it's supposed to it's supposed to be a total examination, and that's what we're seeing, and that's why you're seeing the guys up at the top of the leaderboard who are there, because those are the guys who are the best golfers in the world now and are playing the best, and who've dealt the best with conditions and course setup so far.
Gil, you look at Dustin Johnson is the only guy under par at 4 under as he's finished for the day. Where do you think you have to be right now to even be under consideration to be in striking distance, or do you think that he's too far ahead?
I think you just have to make the cut. And that sounds, crazy. Right now, he's 4, right? And the current cut is 7, could go to 8. I'm not sure that it will. The record comeback after 36 holes in the U.S. Open is 11 shots. So there from 4 to 7 right there is 11 shots. Especially considering, if you're 7 over, you're only 7 back to second place right now. It could happen, and especially it depends, fellas, on the weather. The weather today kind of threw a curveball. Wasn't supposed to rain. Nowhere was in the forecast last night about rain. It turned around, and it rains this morning. Softens the course up a little bit. Probably playing a little different than the USGA thought. Wind isn't quite as much, I think, today as maybe they thought it would be. So it kind of depends a little bit on the weather over the weekend. And obviously it's going to depend a lot on that guy in front, Dustin Johnson, who world number 1, a halfway mark 4-shot lead right now. A lot of people are just kind of going to give it to him. Dustin Johnson in the past has really been the king of 36 holes in majors. You look back on his record and career, and he's been in great position after 36 holes a lot of times. We think back to that U.S. Open at Pebble Beach in 2010, the Open Championship over St. Andrews, 2015, a few others, and he stumbled on the weekend. I think this is a different Dustin Johnson now, having won the U.S. Open just 2 years ago, and all the wins he's racked up recently, and the confidence he has in his game and the way he's playing. So I don't really expect him to back up a ton, but like I said, you just never know. And if the wind picks up tomorrow afternoon, he's out there, and a couple of guys that played in the morning call up to him a little bit, makes it interesting on Sunday. It's the final round of a major championship is much different than the first 63 holes.
Gil, Phil Mickelson just birdied 10 to get to +7. That's where you think the projected cut is. Of course, he's still out on the golf course. Tiger Woods in, and at +10, doesn't look like he's going to be around for the weekend. What did Tiger Woods in?
I think I think coming into weeks like this, Pete, right, we're blinded by Tiger's, former greatness and his stature in the game and what he did. And it's easy, right? You have somebody that great, you never ever want to count them out. But when you start having weeks like this, you get back to reality that we've talked about on your show before with Tiger. He's 42 now. He's gone through a lot. He's not the golfer he was a decade ago. Can he play well? Yes. Can he win? I'm not sure. I still, I know the sports books are now legal down your way, and if I were that kind of persuasion, and I had to make a bet, I would go by and bet that he's not going to ever win another major. It's just very, very difficult. And you see, I know, Pete, earlier this afternoon, you quoted a tweet about some of these big names, or I should say familiar names down that have struggled, and maybe that is does that mean it's been too tough? And I would say no, because what golf is, right? It rewards performance. It doesn't reward names, and you have to go out there and be able to perform and play well. And every one of those players yesterday that struggled, Day, Spieth, Mickelson, Garcia, Woods, to me, none of those came as a surprise for various reasons. None of those guys were in either a position with their games currently or games historically with mindset, emotions, etc., to handle that golf course yesterday. So as I said, I think my answer is no. I think this brings out people who are in the best position and playing the best right now, and that's why you've got the number one player in the world, Dustin Johnson, right up there with some guys not too far behind who are playing very well also.
Which was a great answer by you on Twitter, like going back and forth with you on Twitter, and love having you on the show. We're talking to Gil Capps from the Golf Channel U.S. Open at Shinnecock right now, and yes, a true test of golf. So you say none of those names surprised you, Gil. How about the names that are looking like they're not only going to make the cut, but make some noise? A Mickey DeMorat, for an example, or Pat Perez, who's always lived in Tiger's shadow and yet has put up a couple tour wins in the past. Just as I scan through, there's your guy Justin Thomas at +4 right now in the house after 2 rounds. I mean, there's names out there that are up near the top. Are there any of those names that surprise you?
You look at those names, and I thought you'd ask me that question. And no, they're not a ton that really surprise me. Look, you always have a couple of great stories in an Open early that are up toward the top and playing real well. But I mentioned the other day Justin Rose, and I still really, really like his position there. You have Scott Piercy, you have Charlie Hoffman, a couple of Americans who are really good ball strikers. And I think that's what you're seeing up there. Guys who are really good ball strikers and kind of on right now and can kind of get it done like that. And then guys who are grinders, and you think back to the three guys that have won the U.S. Open here at Shinnecock, Raymond Floyd, Corey Pavin, and Retief Goosen, very much guys who are never going to quit and guys with great short games. And that's what you have right there. And with a guy like Ian Poulter, people still are kind of like, Ian Poulter can't win. Yes, he can. Ian Poulter can very much win this championship, especially the longer he stays in it up there. And somebody else too, right? Ricky Fowler, who recent engagement the week before. That'd be something to follow that up with a win. But he's another guy, really plays well in the wind. Great ball striker, great putter, and he's not too far back either to be right there in the mix come Sunday afternoon.
Now, I know, Gil, you're with the Golf Channel. I know Fox is carrying the Open here, but are they going to be happy with no Woods, no Spieth, potentially no Mickelson? I mean, there's some big names looking like they're on the wrong side of this cut.
Well, as we've seen earlier this year, Tiger, it really has moved the needle in some of the PGA Tour events and in the Masters. So, no, they're not going to be happy to lose big names. No network would for the weekend, but it's the U.S. Open, and it's the national championship. I think it in a sense, right? We always talk about the state of the sport, and you'd like it to be in a place where no one player is ever bigger than the game. And I think if we really were at a good weekend here with good golf and some of these other guys up to the top of the leaderboard, I think it'll have enough interest as is.
Gil, since Mike mentioned that Fox is carrying Owen Brown, those brownie points, I really geek out on those segments because I think it sort of shows the golf course in a way that maybe doesn't always translate to TV. In other words, just like the Masters is so much more hilly and the elevation doesn't come across on TV, maybe there's things at Shinnecock that don't come across. He was showing a fairway that from left to right, it's almost impossible to keep the ball in the fairway because it's slanted so severe. What aspect of Shinnecock do you think ultimately will make the biggest difference coming down the stretch?
Yeah, you're right, Pete. I mean, that's NBC lead golf producer Tommy Roy's always said that's the one thing that he wishes that could translate better on TV, or all of the undulations, the elevation changes. Really to have, instead of a two-dimensional screen, have a three-dimensional screen, so you can see that. So. There's a lot of that at Shinnecock Hills. It's not just this flat piece of property. I think in the end, as I said before, I think you look at those three winners before, I think it's going to come down to who's able to hold nerve, and because you're going to miss greens, right? And so it's trying to figure out, making sure you're not missing greens in a wrong spot. As Jordan Spieth did yesterday on 11, and now he's kind of done the same thing again today as I'm watching on 11 over the green. Getting balls up and down, which Dustin Johnson, we talk about it as length a lot, but his short game is outstanding, and he's become a very, very good putter, and that's what he's done the first two rounds. He's right up there, almost at the top, I believe, in scrambling. The same with putting. I had 26 putts, I think, yesterday, 27 today. If he can keep that up, he's going to be very, very hard to beat. But that's why you kind of look at the guys like Ian Poulter, and he's not, with his short game, he's not gonna go away, I believe.
Gil Capps from the Golf Channel, NBC Sports Golf, here on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. You going Johnson or the field?
Wow, it's you know what? As much as I really like Dustin Johnson's position, you've got to take the field. Even Tiger Woods, as great as he was, 14 majors. If you take the field over Tiger for that 10 or 12 year stretch, you're winning with the field, right?
Well, you're only down to two more days, though. You're only down to 2 more days, Gil.
If you were a betting man, you still have to take the field, I believe. But of all the players, he's in a really, really good spot and can really submit. I think the big difference between a guy who's just won one major and a guy who's won two. And Dustin, with already winning his 18th PGA Tour event this past weekend, looking, on the cusp of being a World Golf Hall of Famer. And if he wins again on Sunday, he is definitely a World Golf Hall of Famer, and quickly etches his name up higher and higher on that all-time ranking list of great players. And just in his early 30s, he has a lot of golf to go, and could maybe propel him to even bigger and better things. So I think in that sense, it's a big weekend for Dustin Johnson.
All right, Gil Capps in the Golf Channel here, kind enough to join us, and we'll recap it all coming up on Monday to find out who the national champion is. Thank you so much, Gil. Enjoy your stay at Shinnecock the rest of the way.
As always, Pete and Mike, thank you very much, and thank you for saving me this afternoon from listening to any more Mets fans on Sports Talk Radio up here. It's brutal up here.